freshly spilled blood spread in slow waves, its heat melting the fallen snow. Insulated by his overcoat, my grandfather's corpse was still warm. From his thin frame, a trail of white smoke floated up from the bullet hole shot into his back seconds before. Now, you'll be coming with us. That was the declaration the Inquisition imparted to me. When I looked back, my little sister was staring at me with horror-stricken eyes, a blade held to her neck. Now, only one path lay before me. Please, at least, spare my sister. Killing all emotion in my voice, I gave that single request. In place of a response, the Inquisitor's lips only curled into a sadistic smirk. My family lived in hiding, deep within the snowy mountains. For my sister and I, who had become witches, living deep in the forests of the desolate mountains provided the perfect hiding place. I learned how to survive as a hunter from my grandfather and the laws of nature. In order to live, we must sacrifice the lives of others, even if that means taking the lives of the innocent. On the list I'd been given, there were 6 witches' names, the lives I was to take in exchange for my sisters. If I killed those 6 witches, my sister would be returned to me. That's what the Inquisition had told me. A letter arrived from my sister. The dried ink of the typewriter penned a cruelly brief message. I'm all right. Please don't worry. That was all it said. Right on schedule, the 5th of its kind. A letter arrived for each witch I killed. I hadn't gotten to see her even once since that day. But even so, this was the single thread of hope I had left. It was hope entangled in misery. But no matter how thin a thread it may be, if that was the only thing I could cling to, I had no choice but to grasp it for dear life. The final target. I took aim, as I always did, and pulled the trigger. Then, I approached the body to ensure the deed was done. However, a pair of shaking legs blocked my path. My eyes met one's welling with tears. Trying to shield my target was a young girl. Please, don't hurt my sister. Hearing the anguished cry, the gravely wounded witch desperately tries to rouse her body. No, save yourself. Her voice is hoarse. She's likely already beyond saving. Stuck immobile in place, the witch looks at me with pleading eyes. Please, I beg of you, at least spare my sister. I couldn't help but see my own desperation reflected in her. What I'm doing now is exactly what those scum did to me. But there's no other path I can take. This is the only way to save my sister. I pulled the trigger. Her head jerked back with a snap, and as though the thread of her life had been severed, Her body lied as still as a rag doll. In a state of shock, the girl squeaked out a small cry. "Big sis!" I ran away as fast as I could. I couldn't take any more. In the forest at the rendezvous point, awaiting the crunch of my footsteps in the snow, was the sound of a single gunshot. Magic energy radiates from the bullet that just shot into the wall behind me. My opponent is a witch. You did well, but your job ends here. As though lurking in the surrounding shadows, the voice of an inquisitor also reaches my ears. In that moment, everything became clear. I had served my purpose. In other words, my sister was already... No, she's probably been dead from the start. If I just made it through this list, they said they'd give my sister back to me. What am I? I don't want to remember what happened after that. After shooting the legs of the fleeing Inquisitor, all I know is that I shot countless rounds into his skull as he begged for mercy. When I came to, before my eyes lied the gun-wielding witch collapsed on her side. She had lost consciousness, but her wounds were shallow, and she was still breathing. Thank goodness. I didn't want to have any more witch's blood on my hands. Freshly spilled blood. My blood. Spread in slow waves, its heat melting the fallen snow. With the remainder of my fading consciousness, I attended to the collapsed witch's wounds. From her inner pocket, I found a list of orders and a letter. The letter was scrawled with a simple message from a sender called Mother. It was just as I'd feared. She was being used, exactly as I had been. That must mean the most important person to this girl was also already. According to the list, the girl's next target after me wasn't a witch. Her target was the Duke of Fran, a man who saves witches and fights together with them against the church. I see. So there's still something I can do. Something I must do. The church's inquisition. The perpetrators of my deception. The ones who had murdered my grandfather and my sister. I'll hunt each and every one of them down. Holding on to my steadily waning consciousness with my welling anger as fuel, I headed into the forest's depths, step by limping step. The trail of my footprints was slowly covered by the snow falling overhead. The Duke's mansion was where I found her. The little sister of the final witch I had killed. I don't know when she first arrived, but it seems she's told the others that she'd come here looking for me. If that girl so wishes, I will gladly forfeit my life to her. But until then, I must protect her. I will do so until she chooses to enact her revenge. I'm sure God doesn't exist. But if there is someone looking down on us. Please, protect her. At least, let me, who couldn't even save my own sister, save that girl. I know that it's selfish, and I'm sure she doesn't want this from the likes of me. But even so, I beg you,